And Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at the feature race at Woodbine on Saturday. It's the Grade 2 Royal North. We're going 6.5 furlongs on the E.P. Taylor turf course. $175,000 is the purse for fillies and mares. Let's take a look at this field. And we were talking about it before we came on air, Mike. It just seems like this race comes up strong every year. Competitive field. Should be a good betting race.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit wide open. I mean, there are a lot of horses here who, if they show up, with their best race, they're probably going to be right there. The money line favorite, Boardroom, really nice horse. No bad races on her card. Never tried turf before.
Yep, she's trying turf for the first time. It's always tough to take a horse doing something for the first time at a short price. I wonder if the 6 Amalfi Coast winds up favored at post time. After all, she won this race last year with the benefit of a prep. This year, she's coming in straight off the layoff.
Yeah, off the layoff this year, but she's fired, pretty fresh off the layoffs in the past. And it may not look like it on paper because going back a couple of years when they brought her back on turf, she got a brutal trip. But she tends to fire fresh, this horse.
Timeform US believes this pace is not going to be very, very fast. Perhaps. Let's take a look at the pace projector. It's a blue bar scenario which favors horses on or near the early lead. Genie B does have speed, and she should be close. The 2 In Good Spirits has a little bit of speed. I think they like putting her in behind horses and making a run. I think the key to this race from a pace standpoint is the 8, Mike. Super Sensational, a horse who is also making her turf debut, but ran really, really well in own synthetic before going to the States and running on dirt.
Yeah, that's true. She was turned out to be a pretty good dirt horse too. It'll be interesting to see how she handles the turf here because obviously she has the class to be a real factor in this race. As far as the pace goes, I had a tough time figuring out who was going to be on the lead, Dan, but there's a lot of tactical speed in here, so I didn't necessarily think anybody had to be super compromised in here.
One of those tactically inclined horses is the number 1. That's Lady War Machine, who's returning off a 6-month layoff, but perhaps getting back to the turf is going to be the key for Lady War Machine. She's only started once on the turf. It was at this distance. It was in a stakes race, and she won the Alley Wow. Here's her most recent start, the final race of the 3-year-old in 2021 against older fillies and mares in an allowance race. We see her swinging to the outside. She was kind of outside throughout. The pace wasn't very fast. I thought she did okay to grab third.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this performance. She was wide every step of the way here. She stays on. This isn't, a super strong finish from her, but she's really game to sort of grind up at the end and get a piece of this thing. To me, Dan, it's all about whether she can take a step forward here, and maybe she can do that. 4-year-old debut. The only turf start, as you mentioned, was a stakes win. It wasn't a great field. She got an absolute perfect trip, securing the rail, up on the pace with a big long shot, but it's still the best race she's ever run.
Getting back to turf might help the 1 Lady War Machine. Stretching back out to 6.5 might be just what the doctor ordered for the number 2 In Good Spirits, who won the Grade 3 Kentucky Downs Lady Sprint, going a stiff 6.5. 3 starts back. They then ran her at Keeneland in a monsoon. So I'm not going to take that race very seriously. And last time out, it was her first race off a layoff, going a sharp 5.5. She was 3 wide and never got covered up, and she just got tired late. I think in this race, there's a possibility that she could settle for a pocket trip and come with 1 run. I trust Al Stall.
I do too. We'll see. It's always a tough question to answer when these horses ship up to Woodbine to race for the first time because some horses handle it, some don't. It's a really long stretch. As you pointed out, she's already sort of handled that at Kentucky Downs 3 starts back, so maybe it won't be a problem for In Good Spirits. And I think it's pretty clear at this point that this filly is just better as a turf sprinter than she was going long.
Distance won't be an issue for the 3 Genie B. She's won around 2 turns on the turf. She's been sprinting, going a little shorter recently, and she might be set for her best in her 3rd start of the form cycle. Last time out, she ran in the Long Branch Stakes over synthetic. Let's watch that effort going 5.5 furlongs back on April the 16th. She got right up close to the pace. Looks like she's on her way here, Mike, and she's going to just miss by a neck. She does finish ahead of 2 next out winners. The 3rd place horse coming back to win the Grade 3 Whimsical with a 93 buyer.
Yeah, I don't know what her excuse is here. Dan, this is a race that she had won and then she didn't seal the deal. Maybe getting back to turf will be a good thing for her. I suppose it could just be her best surface. The thing that bothers me about that race that we just watched there, Dan, is if you go back and watch last year's Royal North when she got beat by Amalfi Coast, same thing. She had that race sewn up in the stretch there, opened a clear lead, and just did not finish that race off and got nailed.
La Liberte, the number 4, comes off a little bit of a layoff for Cassie. This horse wintered down in South Florida at Gulfstream. Raced once down there over the Tapeta surface. Didn't need to like it. I think maybe the key with her is they're going to get Lasix back on. She's run well on the turf in the past, although in the Alley Wow, she was no match for Lady War Machine, who's going to be a big price in here.
Yeah, she was no match in that spot. And it's not like she had some kind of tough trip either. She just saved ground right behind that horse and never really could make a race of it. Listen, I respect the fact that her figures have gotten a little better, sort of towards the end of last year on a different surface. So maybe she'll bring that back to turf and take another step forward. I think she has to do that.
The morning line favorite, the number 5 Boardroom, is obviously talented. She's only raced 8 times. She's hit the board in all of them. She earned a gigantic Beyer speed figure over synthetic 2 starts back, and I like that race. She was pretty much on the outside every step, made a 4 wide bid on the turn, and was on her way. And unfortunately, after that race, she went on the layoff for a long time. She did come back in the Whimsical, the race we're going to take a look at right now. And all things considered, she ran just fine. She hadn't run in a long time. She didn't break great. She gets up for second, and I think she's going to move forward off of this race. It's all about whether you want to take a short price on her, try and turf for the first time.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, to me, I feel like I could, easily make the case that she's the best horse in the race. Whether she's the best horse on turf, I guess we'll see. Ran really well here, didn't break great, got herself over behind horses on the turn and had to give away more position so she could get to the outside. And then she ran on really well in that race. Listen, she's just never run a bad race, Dan. Yeah, I don't know if she's going to handle turf. Her dam did win on turf. Her second dam did win on turf. I guess there's enough pedigree there to suggest that she'll handle it.
Amalfi Coast, the number 6, the winner of this race in 2021, makes her first start for Mark Cassie. She was purchased for $475,000 at the Keeneland November sale. We'll take a look at her final start last year. Good effort. Second in the Hendry, this race on the Tapeta surface, going this distance, 6.5 furlongs. Again, it wasn't a race that featured a ton of pace. She's going to get up for second, and she just runs a good, solid effort every time out. She's arguably the horse to beat despite the layoff. Again, she did win this race with the benefit of a prep last year.
Right. I mean, she is a good horse overall. Obviously can't make a race of it here after sitting off of a slow pace. I didn't think that was, her best performance, but it was also on really short rest at the end of her campaign last year. The only time they ran around turf. That was a good performance winning this race last year because we've already talked about, Genie B was in front of her the entire way, had to jump on her in the stretch, opened a clear lead. Amalfi Coast had to alter course down to the rail in the late stages and still got up. She's a really good horse. We'll see how she does off the layoff.
Josie Carroll's a really good trainer. She has the 5 Boardroom. She also has the 7 Gagetta, who I think might be a little bit dirtied up. She made her first start for Carroll at Woodbine last year, but that race was over a synthetic surface. And I don't know, Lady Spitespear, the winner of that race, is pretty good. Gagetta was kind of down towards the inside. I thought her races in Southern California last year were pretty good on the turf. And maybe getting back to the turf is just what the doctor ordered. She ran well fresh last year as well.
Yeah, I like her getting back to turf also. The only thing that bothered me just a little bit about her, and I don't really want to nitpick this horse because she's a great price on the morning line. The 2 wins in Southern California last year, both races that set up really well for her. They had good paces going on, and she took advantage a little bit to just get up. This race may not be run that way, and it certainly could compromise this horse.
Super Sensational returns to Woodbine for the first time since her 2-year-old campaign. She went 2 for 2 there over a synthetic surface, and she showed some star potential. Now, she ran on dirt after that, and she's done some very good things on the dirt. She didn't win the greatest edition of the Victory Ride, but she got it done last year at Belmont over the summer. And last time out in the Raven Run, she was in against a very tough field, a couple of next style winners. I think that winner is very underrated. Came back to win with a 96 Beyer the other day.
Yeah, that's a really good horse, Carmel Swirl. Yeah, I mean, she's done good things on dirt. She's a graded stakes winner on dirt. She's grade 1 placed on dirt. Is the question, I guess, is she going to be, proficient on all 3 surfaces? Because she's really good on synthetic and she's really good on dirt. I suppose she could be really good on turf. And if she is, she's a handful in here.
And she's really good at 6.5, which means that 8-1 on the morning line is pretty enticing, especially considering her tactical speed. I think she's going to work out a pretty good trip, either on the lead or sitting just off it, ready to pounce when they turn into that long stretch. Before we get to our top picks, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Belmont Stakes right around the corner. You don't want to miss the latest DRFTV video offerings. Here are our picks for the Royal North. I like In Good Spirits. I think she's going to get covered up this time. Last race off the layoff, believe she was a bit short. She was pushing that pace 3 wide without cover. I think she tucks in behind here. Amalfi Coast, she's the class. She's firing late.
Yeah, hopefully she'll be able to keep herself in range. And I think she has enough tactical speed to do that. I just sort of like her getting back to turf. She's fine on synthetic. I think I like her turf races a little more.
6521 for Mike, 2835 for me. Good edition of the Royal North. It's the feature at Woodbine on Saturday. Good luck.